Hello, everyone. Please make sure you have Follow Presenter turned on, and welcome to day one of the FME Form Advanced training course. My name is Ryan. I'm joined today by Sam, who will be helping answer questions during the training. First, we'll do some housekeeping and talk about the platform we are using for today's presentation. Then we'll do a quick introduction to the FME Academy. After that, we'll tackle the first sections in this week's training course. We'll be covering read and write archive and web formats, leverage ordered data, and improve data quality by handling null and missing values today. The class will automatically end at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Actually, that's not always true. I'll see how we're doing for time. If we finish up the course materials well before 1 p.m., that's 4 hours from now, Pacific time, then the machines will shut down. If we're cutting it a little tight, I usually add a little bit of lab time so that if you have the time, you can stick around and finish up whatever lessons you are working on. So first, some housekeeping. Today's class should be around 4 hours long. If we finish the planned materials early, I'll be sticking around, and you can play around in the virtual machines until the class ends. Please feel free to provide feedback as we go along. Just underneath me here, there is a chat window, and you can put things into the chat, which just made me realize there was something I was supposed to put into the chat when I was starting. There. If there's any audio video problems that you run into during the course, please try refreshing your browser tab. That should get things working. Everything that you need for today is included in Strigo. Strigo is the webinar platform we're using. It contains virtual machines that have an installation of FME and all of the required data, so you don't have to have FME installed on your own system. We are recording the session. We usually use the recordings to update the recordings which are attached to each lesson. I'll point those out when we get to them. So again, Strigo is the application I am using to present the course. The icons on the left let you access the different sections of the training, including viewing the course slides, seeing my screen for demonstrations, and accessing your own lab for the hands-on exercises. You do not have to have FME installed on your own computer for this course. If you do have FME installed on your own computer, I still recommend using the virtual machines. That way, if you get stuck, we can help you out. There is a raised hands on the left-hand side. It's just a hand icon that will raise hands in the little interface which I have here. But if you actually have a question, just type it directly into the chat window. If you need assistance in the lab, when you click on the every now and then in Strigo, the video drops out for a few seconds. I'm just going to quickly hit a troubleshoot button. I'm going to disappear again for a moment. That often fixes the problem, or at least reduces how often it will happen. Hopefully that won't happen too often. So if you click on the hand button, there is a request lab assistance option there. It'll put you into a queue for either Sam or myself to come to your virtual lab and render assistance. Be sure to click on the Follow Presenter toggle whenever I am presenting, otherwise you might not be seeing what I'm currently talking about. Your lab machine can be accessed by clicking on the Flask in a Cloud icon. That contains an installation of FME, which is, of course, licensed, and all of the data that you'll need. Copy pasting into and out of the labs is a two-step process. When copy pasting something from your machine to the lab, you must first paste the text into the lab clipboard. Then you'll be able to paste the text within the lab itself. Sometimes, depending on your Chrome settings, you can copy paste directly, but I find it's inconsistent. Try pasting directly in, and then if it doesn't work, open up the clipboard and paste into there instead. The top right of the lab, there is a button to open the lab in a new window. That will open up your lab in a separate window, which can be useful if you want to view what I'm presenting at the same time that you're working on your lab. However, I do move along pretty quickly. If you're dividing your attention between my presentation and the lab itself, you may get lost. So I strongly recommend that you just wait for the next lab time and then you can play around in the lab. The lessons that I go through are all 5 to 10 minutes long, so it's usually 10 to 15 minutes before I give you another 5 to 10 minutes in the lab. So we will be having frequent lab sessions. We have designed the workshops so that you don't need to view the lab while I am presenting. When you are in the lab, you can increase the size of the lab desktop by clicking on the lab icon and then hitting the control and minus sign. This is really just changing the zoom setting in that Chrome browser tab. That will decrease the size of the text in the chat window, but it will also increase the size of the desktop itself. There is an exercise panel on the left-hand side of the lab that doesn't contain the exercises themselves. It does contain links to the exercises, however, and it also has links to various other resources that are available for the course. If you don't see the exercise tab, you can click on the little arrow button on the top right. If you've reviewed what's in the exercise tab and realize you don't actually need it, you can also click on that to collapse the lesson panel, and that'll give you a little bit more lab desktop space.